Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the absolute thrill ride that is the life of one of India's most fiercely courageous revolutionary freedom fighters, Chandrashekhar Azad. We're going to unpack the journey of a man whose very name literally became synonymous with liberty. This is a story of absolute defiance, tactical brilliance, and frankly, a level of personal sacrifice that is almost hard to wrap our heads around today. So get comfortable, because we're diving deep into the history of the man who literally named himself free.
To really understand this historical figure, we have to start right here with this incredibly intense quote. "We will face the enemy's bullets. We have lived free, and we shall remain free." Now, this wasn't just some catchy piece of inspiring rhetoric for a poster, right? This was a blood oath, a solemn, lifelong pledge. Azad promised that he would never, under any circumstances, be captured alive by the British authorities. It was a firm line drawn in the sand, a foundational principle that would dictate every single choice he made from his teenage years right up to his very last breath.
Which brings us to a rather heavy but absolutely essential question. What does it actually take to live and ultimately die entirely on your own terms? I mean, imagine knowing that every step you take for your country brings you closer to a fatal confrontation, and yet choosing to walk that path anyway, completely unyielding, no compromise. That is the incredible, high-stakes reality of the ultimate sacrifice we're about to explore.
Section 1. A revolutionary is born.
Okay, let's set the scene. The year is 1906, and he is born as Chandrashekhar Tiwari in Babra village, right in central India. His parents really pushed him to be disciplined and physically strong, and he absolutely took that to heart. He spent a lot of his childhood in tribal areas building this incredible physical fitness, mastering archery and marksmanship. And trust me, those skills, they're going to become incredibly crucial later on. But the real turning point hits in 1921. Mahatma Gandhi's non-cooperation movement is at its absolute height. Chandrasekhar is just a 15-year-old student studying in Varanasi, but he throws himself entirely into the protests against British rule. And by December of that year, this teenager is arrested.
Now, what happens next in the courtroom is basically what cemented his legacy. Just picture this, a 15-year-old kid standing before a furious district magistrate. The magistrate demands his details. His response? He looks right at him and says his name is Azad, meaning free. His father's name, Swatantrata, meaning freedom. His address? Jail. Well, the magistrate was livid and sentenced him to severe corporal punishment, 15 brutal blows. But with every single strike this teenager didn't break, he simply shouted, "Vande Mataram." From that exact day forward in 1921, the boy born as Chandrashekhar Tiwari officially claimed his new identity. He became known to history and to all of us as Chandrashekhar Azad.
Section 2. Taking up arms.
So, 1922 rolls around and we see a massive pivot in Azad's ideological journey. The whole landscape of the Indian freedom struggle shifted dramatically when Mahatma Gandhi suspended the peaceful non-cooperation movement. Azad was deeply disappointed by this withdrawal. He basically came to the conclusion that peaceful protest was no longer going to cut it. Armed revolutionary struggle was absolutely necessary to achieve complete independence. So he transitions away from the suspended peaceful movement and connects with other revolutionaries like Ram Prasad Bismil. He joined the Hindustan Republican Association, which he later helped reorganize into the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, or the HSRA, stepping firmly onto the path of militant, armed resistance against the British Raj.
And he wasn't just some foot soldier, right? He was an absolute master organizer with strict discipline and unparalleled leadership. After the founders of the HRA were executed or imprisoned following the Kokori train action of 1925, Azad evaded capture and essentially rebuilt the entire revolutionary network from the ground up. He became the commander-in-chief, often signing these underground HSRA pamphlets with the pseudonym Balraj. He gathered funds through highly strategic robberies of government property. He even lived under the alias Pandit Harishankar Brahmachari in the Archa Forest, using those childhood archery and shooting skills we talked about to train his cadres in expert marksmanship. Alongside iconic figures like Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru, Azad inspired thousands of young Indians to step up and join the armed struggle.
This radical new network would soon directly challenge British authority in a huge way. In 1928, the prominent nationalist leader Lala Lajpat Rai died from injuries he sustained during a brutal police lathi charge while protesting the Simon Commission. The HSRA was outraged. Azad, Bhagat Singh, and others conspired to assassinate Police Superintendent James A. Scott in retaliation. But in this massive case of mistaken identity, they assassinated Assistant Superintendent John P. Saunders instead. The heat came down incredibly hard on the revolutionaries after this, but Azad, utilizing his brilliant tactical mind, played a crucial role in helping Bhagat Singh and the others safely escape the district. This bold action was a real game-changer. It awakened national consciousness and proved that the revolutionaries could strike directly at the very heart of the colonial police force.
Section 3. The Final Stand.
We're fast-forwarding now to February 27, 1931, and the tension is literally off the charts. A life lived constantly in the crosshairs inevitably leads to a climax. Azad was in Allahabad, just having a quiet discussion with his companion, Sukhdev Raj, at what was then called Alfred Park. But the police had been tipped off. The CID head, J.R.H. Notbauer, accompanied by armed police and a deputy superintendent, descended on the park. They moved in quietly, completely surrounding the park from all four sides before Azad even realized the trap had been sprung. The British had finally, after all these years, cornered their most elusive target. What happens next is a true testament to his sheer combat brilliance and just raw, unfiltered courage. Armed and completely surrounded, Azad did not surrender. He took cover behind a jamun tree and engaged the heavily armed police force in a brutal hours-long shootout. He was badly wounded, but his priority? It wasn't saving himself. He ordered his companion to escape so the freedom struggle could continue. And then he unleashed this barrage of expert cover fire that allowed Sukhdev Raj to get away safely. Fighting from behind that single tree, Azad killed 3 policemen and even managed to shoot the CID head directly in the wrist, basically holding off an entire contingent single-handedly.
1. That's exactly how many bullets he had remaining in his weapon after fighting bravely for hours, bleeding and completely exhausted. Surrender was an option, sure, it would have kept him alive. But remember that pledge we talked about at the very beginning of this explainer? He promised he would never be captured alive by the British. Holding completely true to his lifelong word, Chandrashekhar Azad used that final bullet on himself. He died free.
Section 4. An Immortal Legacy.
You know, in the solemn aftermath of his death, the British authorities were actually so terrified of his influence that they sent him for a secret cremation without even informing the public. But the truth spread like wildfire. When the news broke, the public just flooded the park, chanting slogans against the British government and singing praises of Azad's ultimate sacrifice. The thing is, Chandrashekhar Azad didn't write major theoretical books or lengthy political treatises. His teachings were forged entirely by personal example. His ideology was action. He taught that patriotism isn't just a feeling you have, it's absolute commitment and sacrifice. He demanded strict personal discipline and national unity, insisting that religion and regional differences just had to be set aside for the cause of a free India. But above all else, his life was a masterclass in self-respect, a total, unwavering refusal to surrender one's dignity to an oppressive colonial authority. He inspired an entire generation of revolutionaries simply by walking the walk.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. If freedom truly demands the absolute courage and unyielding determination modeled by Chandrashekhar Azad, how does his sacrifice redefine our own duty to our nation today? When a 15-year-old boy takes 15 lashes just to claim the name free, it sets a standard of devotion that echoes all the way through history to us right now. We really hope this explainer has sparked your curiosity to learn even more about India's fierce revolutionary past. Thank you so much for joining us today as we explored the life, the fire, and the immortal legacy of Chandrashekhar Azad.